Hello everyone. I hope you are doing good and safe at your homes. So TechInfoRay is back with another set of videos. So in this, as per the requirement from students and cloud learners, previously we have created a list of practicals for AWS Cloud, but now we are starting with Microsoft Azure also. So in this, I'll create set of videos where you can play around with Microsoft Azure Cloud, and also it will also benefit you. You can learn multiple cloud technologies at same place at my channel. So in case you want to start your cloud learning, you can start with AWS Cloud, and there is a separate playlist for that. So to start with the Microsoft Azure, you can watch these videos. I'll create separate playlist for this. So by this, you can have a knowledge about multiple cloud technologies. So keeping that in mind, so I'm creating videos for Microsoft Azure. So in this, this is the first video for Azure. So here I'll show you how we can quickly launch our first Azure server, the virtual machine on the cloud, on Microsoft Azure Cloud. We will try to launch different flavors like Windows and Linux instance. So you can play around with the console. So before going to the console, you need to create your free tier account. So I'll put in the description about the link how you can create your free tier account on Azure Cloud, so you can play around with the cloud. So if we move forward, this is the conceptual diagram over the for this video. So I'm just trying to make it easy to understand the video that I'm going to present. So in this, we will access the Microsoft Azure Cloud Console and create different instances, different virtual machines, that is Windows 1 and Linux 1. And then once these instances are created, then from our laptop, we will access these machines over the internet. So by sitting at your home, you can create virtual machines on Azure Cloud and deploy your projects or websites over the internet. So you can create any project and make interesting projects over the cloud. So let's move forward and let's go to the Azure Cloud console and create. First, let's create Windows instance. Then we will create Linux instance, and then I'll show you how you can publish web server over the Windows server. First, we need to install the IIS server over the Windows instance. Then we will publish that web page over the internet. So you can see how quickly we can do that, and how easy it is, and how easy you can access the resources. So let's move forward and go to the console and create our first Windows instance. So here I'm into my Azure Cloud, so you can create your free tier account. So in free tier account, just to make you more aware, you will get $200 free when you create your free tier account, and you can use that credit to create your resources on the cloud, and this will be valid for 30 days. And in those 30 days, you can consume all of your credits and create interesting demos over the cloud. So once 30 days are over, after that you need to create resources pay per use model. So the resources that you are going to create after 30 days, you need to pay for the resources. So create an account and then start building your interesting use cases on the cloud. So let's move forward. I hope everything is clear for creating free tier account and the credits that you're going to get and what will happen after 30 days. So that was it, and let's move forward. And this is the landing page of Azure Console, and click on virtual machine. We can deploy our web server. So create virtual machine. So here we can start creating our virtual machine. This wizard will run. So here a subscription currently is my pay as you go. So that's what I was talking about, 30 days model. So but initially when you create your free tier account, you can consume those credits. So let's create new resource group, demo RG. Okay. So you need to create a resource group first. You can mention the name as per your requirement. Virtual machine name, Windows demo. We will deploy this in Central India. Keep everything default. We are going to use Windows 2019 operating system. So here there are different sizes of the machines, like 4 vCPUs, 1 vCPUs, or standard. So if you want to see all those, so as per the requirement of your project, the number of virtual CPUs or the RAM requirements, you can select any one. So there are different series in Azure cloud. So as per the requirements, some are memory intensive, some are workload intensive, and these machines are created for different purposes. So for general purpose, we have all these series. So as per the requirement, you can select any configuration that you require. So here I'm going to select 4 vCPUs and 16 gig RAM for this one. Let's click on select. So initially when you create your free tier account, you will not be charged for it, but here it is showing the cost also. So after 1 month, you can see how much it will be charged for you. So currently it's like 10,000 per month. So later I'll show you how much you will be charged for per hour also. So let's keep the login details. When admin, password you can keep as per the security policy on the cloud. So you can keep that password. So keep everything default. So this 3389 port is allowed for this. So also we can add more ports also as per the requirement. Like if you want to publish your website, you need to allow 80 port also. So we can select that also here, or 3389 port is also allowed. So we are going to allow these 2 ports for the time being. So click on next. Next, networking, we are going to use default settings, management, advanced, click next tags, keep it default. So now it will run some validation checks. So you can, so validation is passed. So here the charges are shown. So this will be charged like 14 rupees per hour. So that's the pricing for this VM. So let's create this VM. So now we have submitted this configuration to create a VM to Azure. So it will start the deployment for this server. So this will take very less time and our server will be ready. So you can see how easily we can create a server over the cloud and start using it, deploy our softwares, deploy our code, or whatever you want to do as per the requirements. So this is very easy. Start playing around with technologies and see how easily we have created the resource and its deployment is ready. So go to resource. So here, this is the configuration of the server that we created. So here you can see all those details. So we have Windows 2019 server. So here we need to look for this public IP address. So let's copy this public IP address so that we can access our server. So open RDP utility that is installed on your laptop. So mention mstsc and click OK. So put this public IP that we copied. Click on connect. So here use the username that you selected during that time. So here I'm using the same login details, root/winadmin. So sometimes there are some local security policies on the server. So if you are not able to connect using winadmin, the username that you kept while creating the server, also you can add root in front of that if you are not able to connect. So mention the password, click on OK. So yes, we are able to connect our server. So this will take a few seconds. Our server will be ready. This makes some initial configuration changes on the server. and like after 5-10 seconds our server will be ready for use for our projects, whatever projects that you want to test on the servers. So in this, I'll show you how we can easily install web server that I shown you on the diagram, conceptual diagram, and how easily we can add that server and add that role on the server. Then we can publish our website. So in this demo, I'll show you how we can publish the demo web page over internet, and I'll show you everything that is required for configuration of the server. So let's click on add role. So here we will add the role, next. So select web server, that is role required for publishing the websites over the internet. Add feature, click next, and install. So this will take few minutes. Once this role is ready, then we can publish our website. So let me pause this video. Once this is ready, then I'll resume it. So our installation has succeeded on this server. Our web server is ready. Let's close it. And also one more thing I like to aware, you can disable the security on this server for initial, like if you want to download some softwares or access internet, you can disable this for a few minutes and later enable it. So let's disable that and let's access our website. So by default, internet is already working on this server, so we can test that also. So that if we see google.com, yes, so by default on Azure, internet is enabled on the machines that we create, and you can start downloading your required softwares. Also, we have installed our web server, so let's test the site localhost. Yes, our web server is ready. Let's edit the sites to make it more customized. This PC, C, inetpub, www-root. Let's edit this site. Open with Notepad, Control-A, delete. This is demo web page from Azure Windows machine. So save it, close it. So if we refresh this page, we can get that. So this page I'm opening on the local machine. So let's use this public IP address and let's try to open over the internet. So as per the diagram, I have created this Windows machine, enabled IIS web server, and published the web page also. So as per your requirement, you can publish your website, put the codes on the server, and now I'm going to access this web server over the internet. So we will see that same web page over the internet. So let's go to there quickly. Clear all drawings. So let me access our Chrome. So if I copy, let me copy the public IP address again. So if I paste this, see, this is the same page that we created over our web server. This is demo web page from Azure Windows machine. So see how easily we can create a Windows server on Azure cloud and access that machine from our laptop, then publish web server and publish web pages over the internet. So I hope you understand the concept of creating web server. And similarly, let's quickly create another virtual machine over Linux virtual machine, so I can show you how you can create that. So click on virtual machines, and you need to select different image over that. So here you can select the previous resource group that you created. So Linux demo. So here keep everything selected same by default. So for image, we can select Red Hat Linux. So there are also different images also. So as per your requirement, we can select any image that we want to deploy. So let's select this Linux 8.1, and let's keep the same configuration for vCPUs and 16 gigs. So as per the requirement, you can keep your one. So here we can create our own password also. So username, we can mention Linux admin. So password you can keep as per the requirement. So everything is set. So we are going to enable this. So if you want to publish web server on this also, you can select HTTP on this. So click on next. Networking, let's keep default one. Next, management, keep default. Advanced, keep default. Tags. So this will run validation checks, and then we can see. So for this, the hourly charges are 12 rupees.89 rupees per hour. So you can see all those details are mentioned over here, and we can click on create. So in few minutes, our deployment will be ready. So you can see how easily we can create a Linux server also. So deployment is in progress. So this will create our Linux server. So using PuTTY tool or SSH tool, we can access our Linux server. So our server is ready now. Let's go to the resource. Again, you need to watch out for the public IP address using which we will connect. So again, it has all the details: operating system Linux, Red Hat, version VM v1, and the configuration size of the VM that we created. So let's copy this public IP and go to PuTTY. Put this public IP address, click on open, accept. So remember the username and password that we kept while creating this: Linux admin password. See how easily we can create a server and log into this server. So again, if you want to publish your websites, you can do that, and you can publish your web pages, enable install the web server over Linux machine. So you can do that easily. So also, if you want to reset the passwords, you can do that as well. Like if you go to configurations, configuration, so you can change your passwords also. So if we go to our Windows machine, Windows demo machine, so here if you want to reset the password, you can do that. Let me find out the option for that. Yeah, here it is, reset the password. So in case you forget the username and password for this, you can reset that as well. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, how easily we can create different resources on the Azure cloud, and how we can quickly create web servers, whether it is a Windows or Linux. And again, if I show you the diagrams, we created Windows and Linux machines on the Azure cloud, also published a web page over the internet using Windows IIS server, and we are accessing these machines from our laptop using RDP or MSTC to access the Windows machine, and using SSH PuTTY to access the Linux machine public IP address. So from our laptop, we can manage these servers, and how we can do that easily. So that was it for this video. And another important thing that I want to make you aware that once you are done with the servers, you are done with your project, go to this resource group that we created and just click delete this resource group. So all those components that were created, that will be deleted, and you will not be charged for anything after that. So this will be charged for the time that you use the resources. So that's the beauty of the cloud. So now we are deleting this, all those resources will be deleted and you will not be charged for this. So that was it for this video, and we achieved what I was trying to explain. So in case you have any queries, questions, or doubts, you can ping me on my email address or visit my channel, our YouTube channel, TechInfoRay, and you can mention those comments in the description or comments for the video. And you can like or subscribe my channel. I'll keep on putting more interesting videos for Azure Cloud. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing good. So TechInfoRay is back with another technical video to enrich students with Microsoft Azure cloud knowledge. So I have created this video for to discuss industry use case, and previously I have created another video where you can learn how to launch your first server on the Microsoft Azure. So this is a bit more technical, where you can plan your network infrastructure and deploy instances in that. So in this video, I'm going to discuss one industry use case. I have worked on various projects, and so this will help you how to understand customer requirements, and based on those requirements, how to create the project and create a solution based on that. So here I'm going to discuss the same. One customer came and expressed his requirements, and based on understanding of those requirements, I created the solution. So let's move forward. I'll give you high overview what I created and what all it went, and then how we handed over to customer, and what you will learn in the end in this video. So let's move forward. So background of this is that customer is looking for greenfield migration. Greenfield migration is that they have existing infrastructure and they want to create new infrastructure over Microsoft Azure in parallel to existing one. And they will migrate their applications over to Azure from existing on-premise data center. So they want to create new infrastructure for their test environment. So first they want to move test environment over the cloud. And a bit more details about the infrastructure requirements. They want to have two segregated networks where they want to deploy their two-tier application architecture, and they want to expose only one network to intranet, and another they want to keep private, so that in private they can deploy their application, and in the exposed layer, or we can say web layer, they will deploy their web architecture, web servers. And they need secure internet access on the private subnets, so that servers can download patches. So we will use firewall for that to control the access. Also, they want to deploy network firewall to control the access. And once this is ready, then customer will be responsible for installation and management of applications, and customer will be responsible for data migration. So customer is looking for basic infrastructure and how we can secure that infrastructure using network firewall. So we will create network components and bastion host to manage the servers. So let's get into more details how we propose the solution. So this is the proposed solution to customers. So in this, these are the steps that we discussed and proposed this solution. So in this solution, we will create low-level design, the diagram of the proposed solution, then customer onboarding to Azure, creating the login on the console, creation of user and groups. Then we will create a resource group on the Azure cloud. Then we will create a virtual network, which is sort of virtual data center on Azure, so that he can deploy his applications. Then in that VNet, virtual net or virtual data center, we will create networks, public and private subnet. So public subnet will have internet access, but private subnet will not have internet access. Then we will install launch instances or virtual instances in public subnet and private subnet. Then we will define the firewall subnet and bastion host subnet, where we will deploy firewall and bastion host. And then we will create firewall to control traffic access. And also we will create bastion host so that VMs can be managed from that. So bastion host is it's a concept like where we will enable public access on one VM, and from that VM all the virtual machines that are created in the network, all those can be managed from that. So only from internet only this machine will be accessed with the IP address, public IP address. So from there we will manage all these machines. So that's the concept of bastion host, and all these machines will not be directly accessed. And also we will create routing tables to route the traffic towards the firewall, and then we will route the traffic, and by default everything will be blocked on the firewall. We will create application rules and NAT rules to allow access, and then we will create this documentation and hand over the project to customer operations for management. So this is high level what we proposed in this use case in this project. So let's move forward. I have created the diagram that for this project delivery. So this is the high level diagram, what is proposed that we discussed in our previous slide, the different architecture that will be created in this. So so in this, as discussed, we have defined the resource group, the virtual network. We will name it VNet Mumbai. So this customer is located in India. So we created a virtual network in the nearest Azure data center. So we created in the Mumbai data center of Azure. So after that, we created the firewall, and we need to define the subnet for firewall. So it will be allocated the public IP also and private IP. Then we defined the bastion host subnet. So it's again, we have to define the public IP for bastion host. So we will access from internet to this bastion host. And then we defined public subnet for Mumbai 10.1.2.0 and private subnet. So from this bastion host, we will access these instances for management. And then we will deploy instances in public subnet and private subnet. So also local firewalls are already enabled, which is called network security groups on the different instances. And to create layered security, we have enabled Azure firewall also. So from this firewall, we will control the internet access for both public and private subnets. And then we define the routing tables for public subnet and private subnet. So both of these subnets are routed towards the virtual appliance, that is this firewall. And again, for everything that's going outside, the traffic is routed towards the firewall. And on the firewall, we will create application rule. And in this application rule, only public subnet is going to have access on the internet that's allowed. So by default, everything is blocked on the firewall, and we need to create rules for allowing the access. So I hope you understand the diagram. It's pretty simple and straightforward to understand the diagrammatic, what we are going to configure on the Azure console. and how we are going to define the things, different components of the network infrastructure and instances. So once this is done, then we will hand over this project to customer. So before handover, let's create the all these components on the Azure cloud. So let's move forward and log into our Azure cloud. So in case you are not having your free tier account on Azure, I have created one previous video. Also, I'll mention the link in this video. You can create your free tier account, and then you can start playing around and create this interesting use case on the Azure cloud. So let's log into Azure cloud. So this is my Microsoft Azure console. So once you are ready with your free tier account, then you can start creating all those components. So in that you will get some free credits and you can use that. So let's move forward and create our resource group in this. So create our resource group. So we will create our resource group and define it name. So resource group hyphen Mumbai. So we will create this in Central India. Tags, create, and then click on create. So this has been created. Go to resource group. So this resource group has been created. So all the components, all the infrastructure will be created in this resource group. Before deploying any infrastructure, you need to create the resource group in Azure. So let's move forward and create our virtual networks. VNet virtual networks, or define our virtual data center over the cloud. Create virtual network. So let's select our. So I have defined the name of our virtual network, VNet Mumbai. Also, we will define the. So before deploying anything, I'll suggest you to create your high-level diagram. I have created a video also how to create these diagrams, and it's very important to mention all those details in that. So create a diagram, mention all the components that we are going to create in the infrastructure, like subnets, their IP address spacings, all these details mentioned in the diagram. Then start creating your infrastructure over the cloud. So let's define all these virtual networks, and then we can move forward. So I'm going to define the VNet. So next, so here we will define our network that we defined, 10.1.0.0/16. So apart from that, let's define the subnets as I defined in the diagram. So define the names, define the IP addressing. So PS public subnet hyphen VNet hyphen Mumbai. So let's go to the diagram, the IP address that we have mentioned for it. So PS hyphen VNet Mumbai 10.1.2.0. 10.1.2.0/24. So this is our public subnet. Add, and let's add private subnet, PRIV subnet hyphen VNet hyphen Mumbai. So let's go to our diagram, 10.1.3.0. 10.1.3.0/24. Let's add. So we have defined our public and private subnets. Let's move forward. Now here it's asking for define the bastion host and the firewall. Let's enable our bastion host. Bastion host is named, let's VH-VNet-Mumbai. Let's define the subnet for bastion host as defined in the network. So 10.1.1.0/24, 10.1.1.0/24. We need to create the public IP also, bastion host hyphen public IP. Okay. Let's enable the firewall also to control the network access. So firewall hyphen vnet hyphen Mumbai subnet that we are going to define 10.1.4.0 10.1.4.0/24. Also, let's create the public IP for this, firewall hyphen public IP. Okay, it's done now. Let's move forward, create tags. If you want to define tags, you can define that. So running some validation checks. So now everything is ready. Let's click on create. So our deployment has started. Our virtual network is started. So it will create all those subnets, deploy the firewall, deploy all those network security groups to enable firewall on the local and firewall on the perimeter side. So as per the diagram, this is going to create all these different components that we defined. It will create this one, this one, this one, the subnets, the network security groups, and firewall that we are. So we are going to define two different types of firewall in this. So let's get back and see the progress. So deployment is in progress. This will take 1 or 2 minutes, and our virtual data center will be ready after some time. So that's what I was saying. Plan your infrastructure, create your diagram, then start creating the infrastructure over the cloud. Else you will getting confused what IP address needs to be kept and what names to be kept, because at the later stage you need to use all these names and you can identify the different components that are there in your network. So if you have planned the names of the components and the IP addresses, so it will be very easy for you to identify and use those different components in your environment. So it's very important, the naming convention, the planning of different networks while creating any infrastructure over the cloud or anywhere where you are planning. So it's a good practice. So create a diagram, create all the components, mention the naming convention in that. Very important. So this will take few minutes to deploy our infrastructure. So for the time being, I can pause this video, I'll resume it. So our deployment is complete now. Let's go to our resource. So our resource group is ready. So VNet Mumbai, it has defined the bastion host and all the subnets in this. So we have default subnet, we have public subnet, the private subnet. This default is by default created in the Azure cloud. So we have defined our public, private, firewall subnet, and bastion host. So now let's define the routing tables to, before that, after that we can deploy our instances. So let's create routing tables. Route tables, create a route table. So let's select the resource group. Again, the naming convention RT hyphen public subnet hyphen VNet hyphen Mumbai. So we are defining this routing table for public subnet. Tags, review and create. So submitting deployment, this will create our public routing table. So let's go to home, route tables, refresh it. So yeah, so our routing table is created. Let's create another routing table for our private subnet. routing table hyphen PRIB subnet hyphen VNet hyphen Mumbai tags validation passed. Click on create. So this will create our routing table for private subnet. Let's go to home, routing tables. So let's refresh. Its deployment succeeded. Refresh it. Yeah. So we have both our public and private subnets. So let's associate the routing table with our subnets. So associate private subnet with private routing table. So VNet Mumbai, our virtual network, private subnet with private routing table. With public subnet, let's associate our public subnet. VNet Mumbai, our public subnet. Okay. Now let's launch instances in both of these subnets, and let's create our virtual machines. Virtual machines. Click on create virtual machine. So selecting our resource group, VM virtual machine, public subnet, public. So keep everything default. We are going to install 2019 operating system. So from here you can select as per your project requirements. So for this project, I have selected this 4 vCPUs and 16 gig RAM. So all these sizes are defined, so you can select as per your requirement. So here I'm selecting this, and also it's showing you the price that will be there for per month. Later we can see per hour charges also. Let's define the username, when admin, and password as per the security policy. You can kept as per your choice also. So by default, we are going to allow 3389 port for it. So at the later stage also, you can allow different ports as per the requirement. You can add them in the network security group and in the firewall. So disks, we are taking premium SSD. Let's click on networking. So in networking, we are going to deploy this machine in the public subnet. Public IP we do not require because we are going to manage this VM from our Bastion hosts. So no need of public IP on the instance. Management, let's keep it default. Advanced, that is required for custom data and all those different advanced requirements. Tags, review and create. So here you can see validation has passed, and also you can see it will be charged 14 rupees per hour. So this VM is costing that much. So let's click on create to launch this instance in our public subnet. So submitting deployments, let's install launch our another instance. By the time this will get ready, so virtual machines, create another virtual machine in private subnet. So again, we need to select resource group, VM, private. So we are creating a basic infrastructure for the customer. So again, you can select any of the operating system and the size of the machines as per the requirement. Let's create when admin and password. Keep those ports default. Premium disk, networking. Let's launch this machine in our private subnet. No requirement of public IP. Next, management. Advanced, keep default. Tags, keep default. Review and create. Again, I have selected the same configuration, so it's again going to charge 14 rupees per hour. So let's click on create. So initializing deployment, submitting the deployment. So this will take another 1 or 2 minutes. Then our server will be ready for public private subnet. So let's see, go to our virtual machines. I think our public VM is ready. So let's go to VM public. So here we can we click on connect. We go to connect, and from here we can select the bastion host. Also, in case you forgot or want to reset the password, you can do that by clicking on a reset of the password. It's common that you forget or make some mistakes while setting the password. In case you are not able to connect, you can reset the password also. So let's connect through bastion host. So this will open a new window. So put the username and password when admin that we defined that time. The password, click on connect. This will open in new console. Allow. So our server is getting ready. Let's go to virtual machines and access our private machine. Refresh it. Yes, our public VM is also ready. Let's click connect that also. Connect bastion host. Username when admin. Password that you defined while creation. Click on connect. So this will again open in new window. So our public server VM is getting ready. So this will take some few minutes for initial configuration. So let's disable the security for the time being to access internet or download some softwares. Later you can again enable it. So let's try to access internet. So by default, everything, all the internet is allowed on all the instances of Azure. So later you can block as per your requirement. Google.com. Yes, our internet is working on our public VM. And Amazon.com. Yeah, so our internet is working fine. Let's go to private instance. No. Local server, disable the security. So let's try to access internet on the private instance. Yes, our internet is working fine. Test. Yes, it's working. Amazon.com. Yes, that's working fine also. So by default, everything is allowed. So let me go to the diagram that we defined to review what all we have done so far. So far we have created our virtual data center and defined the different subnets, launched the machine in public subnet and private subnet, defined the routing tables, but so far we haven't added the routes. These are the routes to route traffic towards the firewall. So far everything is going bypassing the firewall. If nothing is controlled, so all these instances are reaching internet directly, but we will define the routing table, the routes in that, so that we can route traffic through the firewall for both of these instances. So current picture is clear. Let's make further changes now to control the traffic using the firewall. So let's go to our console. Let's go to the routing tables. So if we see our, we need to take care of the firewall also. So this is our firewall. Let's see the private IP of this. We need to route the traffic towards that 10.1.10.1.4.4. This is our firewall. Open it in new tab. Let's go to home, our routing tables, add the routes, public subnet. So click on route, add route. So route name, internet access. So let's define the prefix 0.0.0.0.0/04. So for anything, route traffic through this virtual appliance. So next hop is the firewall. So we are directing the traffic towards the firewall only. So private subnet, create the routes, add route, internet access. Prefix 0.0.0/0. Appliance, next hop firewall, click OK. So let's check the public subnet. So our route is ready for that. For private subnet, our route is ready. So if we go to our instances, we will see that now by default on the firewall, everything will be blocked. So if we see our firewall, the rules, so all this is by default. There no rules exist, or application rules, or net rules, or network rule. So everything is blocked by default. So if we go through the instances, so if we refresh this, so this will be blocked by default. So this will be implemented after few seconds. So let me refresh again and see if once this gets implemented. So it takes time to implement the rules. Rules get implemented on the firewall or enable of routing tables. So if we access this, yes. So this is blocked. Internet is blocked on the private. So this is our private VM. So if we refresh on public instance, public VM, that is again blocked. So now traffic is routing through the firewall. So let's create the application rule to allow internet access on the public VM. Internet access. Let's define the priority. Internet access. So source public IP. So source we are defining it for our public subnet 10.1.2.0/24. So if we go to the diagram, so we have public subnet 10.1.2.0. So we are going to allow internet for this subnet, not for this. So we are going to create route for this one only. Protocols HTTP, HTTPS star.google.com, .amazon.com. So let's add this rule. So this rule will be created in few seconds. So once this is created, then we will check. So yes, our rule is in place now. So if we go to public, internet should work on this instance. Yes, our internet is working on public instance as per our requirement. And if we see our on private instance, the internet will not work. So that's how we are controlling the access. And for this public private instances, we can create virtual network, create network rule collection for accessing for patches only. So if let's create another rule. If these private instances has to download some patches from Microsoft.com, so we can allow that only. Patching rule. Let's define priority 102, allow patches. So our private subnet, let's go to the diagram, 10.13.0, 10.1.3.0/24. Ports for the time being, we can mention HTTP, HTTPS. So need to download from Microsoft.com. Add. So we have Windows operating system. We can download patches from Microsoft.com. So we can allow that public site, or whatever port you want to allow, you can allow that as well. So rule is in place. So let's go to our private instance. So if we open Microsoft.com, no rule match. This will take some time for implementation. Let's decrease the priority 101. Already exist. 100. Save. So let's keep this on the deny so that only allow can be created. This will take some time. Refresh it. So our rule has been applied. So I have placed it before blocking the access, and there was minor mistake in the rule. So I identified it. So I have mentioned Microsoft. So O was missing. So I have updated the rule. So again, this rule is in place for patching. So if we go to our virtual VM in private subnet, if we access Microsoft.com, so that access is working. So it's like the patching from to download the patches from Microsoft site. It's allowed. Apart from that, nothing is allowed. So that's sort of creating secure access on the private subnet and public, and allowing the access on the private subnet. So as per our discussion and requirements, we have created our infrastructure and blocked the access. So now customer can place a web layer in the public subnet, application layer on the private subnet, so that application do not require access on the internet and web layer need access. So web layer can access through firewall and go to internet. So this is having access to this one only. So that's how it works, and we have created the infrastructure. So let's move forward with next set of activities. So then we can hand over this infrastructure, and then customer can deploy all this infrastructure. So our next step is we have created the high level diagram, the documentation, how to access the login details for this, and now customer can download this, can access this infrastructure from their environment, and they can deploy applications, and they can migrate data over the cloud. So that's how things work in industry. The infrastructure has been created, and customer can start deploying their test environment over the cloud. They may deploy more instances, or they can install applications on the instances that we deployed, and control the access using the firewall. So if also I would like to show one more thing. Let's go to the resource group. We can see our the diagrammatically also how different components are there. So if we go to the resource visualizer, Let me access that. So here it will create the environment that we have deployed in this. So if you can see this, we have created VNet. VNet created all this. Not very simple. The traffic flow is not clear, but I have defined the traffic flow as per the diagram that we created. So we have two VMs, virtual machine VM private and VM public, and their network security groups and routing tables to route the traffic. And this is firewall and bashing host. So all those components, if you want to see those diagrammatically, then you can see that as well. So it's quite easy to understand the diagrams and different components in that. Also, you can access different components from here also. You can maximize it, minimize it as per the requirement fit to it. So if you want to see the activity, what's happening in the network, you can view that also. Let's go to the firewall. From here we can access. Let me try that as well. So let's go to home and then let's go to firewall, VNet firewall. So if you want to see what all access is going on, so we can see that in the activity log also. So what all being accessed and dropped. So we have created several rules, and so from here what all has been accepted and what has been dropped over here. So all these activities are there. You can watch that for diagnostic or monitoring the environment. So and another thing I want to show you is that if we go to our home and resource group, let's go to our RG Mumbai. So for all this the environment that we have created, that we can download our template, and let me open that. So like in future also, like if we can if we want to deploy all those components automatically, we can download this template. So from here we can export the template, and we can save all these parameters and save this template, and we can deploy again if we need in separate environment, or we want to create your test environment again, or you want to create these components. So you can download this template again, and that can be created again. So if we go to our so here we can save it. So expose, save it. So once this is saved, then once this is ready, you can deploy all that infrastructure by going to deploy custom template. So if once you're done with use test cases or something like that, you can again deploy this template again. So quick start template, no, cancel, sorry, custom deployment, build your template, load file. Yeah, so from here that we we created the template, so we need to download that template, load file. So this one is the same one. Let me locate that file where I saved it. So this one is, we need to take out that file. So let me go to that correct one. So if we select this file, open, yeah. So all those again, we can see this and then we can save it and deploy again in our environment. So how easily, that's how automation works. You can download this template and again deploy the template into the environment. So that's how there is a concept called infrastructure as a code. So you can also modify this code also and deploy all those components using coding language. So I hope that was helpful in understanding the environment. And in the end, what you can do is this environment we created for the customer, but I explained this for demo purpose. So in the end, you can click on resource group, and we can delete all the components. So go to resource group and delete resource group, so that you can delete it. -Mumbai. Delete. So this will delete all those components that are there in the resource group, and you will not be charged for that. So if we go to the diagram, we have handed over this environment to customer, and he can deploy all his applications. So learning objectives in this, that understanding the customer requirements, what exactly he is looking for. Then we have enabled the solution on Azure. So creation of virtual DC data center on Azure, creation of a high level diagram, and then their learning of different Microsoft Azure services like VNet, Bash host, firewall, defining routing tables, and created NAT rules, and then created application access, tested the access from both instances. Then testing is complete. We are not able to access from private, but we can access from public server. But from private virtual machine, we can access for secure purpose only, for patching purpose only. Then I have also described generating the diagram from Azure console, that all those components that we can see diagrammatically. Then I have shown that how you can download the template for all this environment that we created over Azure. And in future also, you can use the same template to create the same environment. So from learning perspective, all these are all these things that you have learned in this. So I hope you have enjoyed this and got a lot of knowledge how you can create a planned infrastructure by understanding the customer requirements, and how you can deploy that all infrastructure over the Azure cloud. So I hope that is helpful. And in case you have any queries, questions, or doubts, then you can contact me, ping me at techinforay@gmail.com. So thank you very much. I'll keep on creating more industry use cases in future also. Thank you. Bye-bye.